She is slowly coming back together. I had all the tube shields chromed, and I shined up the the IF cans and the filter cans as best that they would shine up. Unfortunately, the tube shields had an awful lot of pitting on them. Some of them are really pitted, but they've been derusted and chromed, and the pitting's going to show, but there's just not much you can do about it. I don't want to throw these tube shields away, and that would be a terrible waste, and just to look for something else better. That would not be cool. Anyway, right now I'm working on the dial scale, or the dial, and it is hitting. Let me get a pencil. I'm never prepared here. Anyway, when the dial turns, it's hitting this piece of metal right here. Listen. Well, that's no good. So I'm going to have to take this back off, and you can adjust this in and out, but if that doesn't work, I have an idea. I have done all sorts of adjustments on this thing, and it just doesn't want to cooperate. This dial scale is not, it's just not totally flat. And I don't know what to do about that. It seems to me to be awfully flimsy, but that's the way they were, I guess. So what I'm going to do, it's hitting right here, right there. Hear it? We're going to take a piece of felt. I've already cut the felt. We're going to glue it right behind there like that to the back of this metal bracket right here. I'm going to put some glue on it. I'm going to glue it down in there like so. Let's see if she makes any noise now. Look at that. Totally silent. That's how we're going to overcome that one. I wasn't exactly certain what kind of glue to use for this. I could have used super glue, just super glue gel, just saturate it around, or put a few drops to hold it in place. In the end, I decided to go with this Elmer's fabric glue. I'm just going to put maybe 1, 2, 3 dabs on it. I don't want the stuff squishing out all over or soaking all the way through. It probably will to a certain degree, but hopefully not much. I'm just going to go ahead and put the glue on, and then slip it back down in there and see if I can't make it flat up against the inside of this metal. Wish me luck on that one, guys. Our first problem is solved, but we have another noise coming from the rear where it's hitting. Listen to that. We're going to put a piece of felt back there also. Right here is where it's hitting. And we're going to go ahead and take this little piece of felt. We're going to cement it right on there like that. And this time I'm going to use a little stronger glue than the other. This is a moving part. And I don't think it would hold up very well with that other glue, being moved back and forth and back and forth. So we'll go ahead and use super glue on this and see how that works. Super glue gel. I think that'll do it. There's some very minor scraping on the back of the dial, but it's hardly even noticeable. You can't even hardly hear it unless you get your ear way down in there. So let me run it through all the way. No more metal scraping. I like that. And a couple of pieces of felt was all it took. Of course, I had to do a couple of adjustments too here. You got to play around with it. Alright, I think we can call that dial mounted. The next thing we have to do is we have to get rid of this tube right here, this 6J5. It was a weak tube, but it did the job, and you can see it had been around the horn a little bit. We're going to get rid of that, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one here too. This one's pretty good shape, so I'll keep this one. And I'm going to replace it with a couple of nice new NOS tubes that I picked up from a guy named TubeMan33. TubeMan33. They weren't that cheap, but he did say they were NOS. They were good tubes. Look at that. Man, I'll tell you what, that shines like a nickel. I got 2 of them just like that. We're going to go ahead and put those babies in there in place of those other ones. And we're going to have an even better set. Now, all I got to do tonight is take this home and turn it on. Oh, one more thing I wanted to cover with you. One more thing. This dial light, the original dial light, Brendan got a hold of me and said, the original dial light on that thing was not that 47 bulb you had in there. The shadow meter had the 47. The original dial light for this thing was a 55. So I went out and picked up a couple of number 55s, and I put a 55 in there, so we're in good shape, okay? Alright, when I get the other tube in, we'll be done in this segment. And speaking of shadow meters, we've got two major things left to do on this radio. One, we have to repair the shadow meter. That's a real problem. Now, it's the craziest thing. The shadow meter checks out good. It ohms out good. Everything works. The vane is in there. It moves back and forth nice and easy. But it does not work. One more thing. Down in between this shield and this can, you can see a dark thing. That's a piece of felt that goes underneath the lip of the can, of the IF cans. And in the process, when I was messing around with these cans, the piece of felt that was here kind of got a little bit destroyed. So I have other felt. What I'm going to do now, before we move on to the next segment, is I'm going to go ahead and unloosen this one side, lift it up, and slide this up underneath there and glue it in place and bring it back down on top of the felt. Well, there it is, folks. I got it all in. And originally they glued this thing to the chassis, so that's what I did. I glued the bottom of it to the chassis. The top is not glued. One more little detail that had needed to be taken care of. You just got to do that sort of thing. Anybody for a little Kitty Wells? Does that look cooler? Does that look at that dial? I didn't expect a square light though. As you can see, it's a little off. I'm going to have to adjust it. 650's over here and I'm up here. But hey, I'm not going to kick at it right now. It might be a little off frequency anyway. It needs an alignment, no doubt about it. That's just too cool. Too cool. I work second shift. When I come home at night and I get a chance to listen to WSM in a nice quiet house, it's just great. Can't beat it. We are down to the nitty-gritty on this radio. We've only got a couple of things left. One of them's major, and one of them, like this, is minor. This is our fine and coarse tuning adjust shafts with the little gear on the end. We have to take this baby apart and clean it. It is really gooked up with stuff, and you have to start by removing a snap ring right on the end here. Once I get that snap ring off, this section here and this section here will separate from this barrel right here. Then we can do some heavy cleaning and put it right back together. But be careful when you take these apart. There are ball bearings in there. Always work on a towel. That way the ball bearing doesn't go bouncy on the floor, okay? Then trust me, if it hits the floor, you'll never see it again. Well, as expected, the old snap ring came off real easy. Nothing to it. Just took a little screwdriver and kind of pushed around. It just came right off. Now we have to just take it like this with our thumb and our two fingers, then just push. And it pops right out of there. See there? And there are the ball bearings I was talking about. Okay, you can see these are really gooked up. The grease is all hard as a rock. We gotta get this baby cleaned up. Once the entire mechanism has been removed from this barrel here, you can go ahead and remove the fine adjust. Now the fine adjust is what has the bearing race on it. The bearing race is what runs around these ball bearings right here, okay? It does it on the inside. And these bearings, but you can see these bearings are just totally gooked up with crap. They don't even want to turn. After we get it all cleaned, it's going to be wonderful looking. All the parts are about as clean as I can get them. I've gone over and over and over every crack, every crevice, the best I can. It's hard to get down in there and all that stuff, but I got them as clean as I could. I think they're in pretty good shape, actually. It's kind of interesting. This particular shaft has 4 ball bearings, 1 small one and 3 larger ones. I've never seen that before. The ones I've dealt with only had 3 larger ones. apparently this small one fits down inside this shaft all the way down here at the bottom. And then this shaft here, your fine adjust, if you take a look at it, there's got a little ball bearing on the end of it. See that little ball bearing on there? That little ball bearing attached to the end of it, chrome plated. And I think what it does is when you put the small one down in the barrel, that ball bearing on the end of that shaft, it mates with this one here, and it just kind of gives it a rolling point. Now there's also a spring down in there. Now watch what happens when I squeeze it. Can you see it going in and out? There's a spring down in there. So first thing we're going to do is start greasing this stuff up here. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on this ball bearing race. I'm going to put a little bit of grease down in the barrel, and then we're going to put a little grease on the ball bearings. We're just going to kind of grease it up, but I'm not going to go crazy with the grease. I have a little bit of high temp kind of grease a guy gave me quite a while back, and I've still got some of it left. Well, that's it. She's all put back together. The action on this thing is nice and smooth. It just turns perfectly. I like that, both the coarse and the fine adjust. The last thing I think I'll do is go ahead and take a few drops of oil, put down in here to mix with that grease down there and give it an even smoother action. She's nice now, but you know, a little extra help doesn't hurt. I don't mean shower down, maybe just a couple of drops down in this lower portion where the brass meets the metal right there, so it'll kind of drip down in there. That would help it out even more. I'll go ahead and place this on the radio and get this all, you know, screwed up. Remember, when you put the two screws through here, use brand new lock washers, okay? Don't use those old flattened out lock washers that came on the set. This is pretty important. You don't want it to be coming loose on you, or, you know, while you're adjusting the radio someday, you know, tuning in the stations or whatnot. I think we'll go ahead and call this thing quits right here. We only have 3 things left to do in this radio: the shadow meter, which is very important. I do want to get that thing going, and I'm going to put new wires on it. We'll do that next time in the next video. And I also have to give it an alignment, and we also have to finish the cabinet. Now the cabinet won't be hardly any work at all. We can wrap that up in real quick, like short video. It won't be all that long. So next time is the shadow meter, and the way this thing is supposedly adjusted according to the instructions I read is, you know, this coil will move in and out, and it'll also turn clockwise and counterclockwise. You'll see right here, you've got a knurled edge along on both sides where you can grip it with your fingers to make all those movements happen. Anyway, we'll take care of it next time. Yeah, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you guys that hung with me all the way on this. This project has been much longer than I ever expected. Had the interstage audio transformer not broken, we'd probably be doing on our last video right now, but you know how it is. You know, Murphy popped his head up. Anyway, until next time, this is John.